Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to 66 Conversations with MAPS Coaches. I am joined this morning by Wally Malesh. Wally, thanks for being here as a MAPS coach. I'm excited to have you. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Okay, great. Yeah, my name is Wally Malesh. I've been in this business since the mid 80s. Started off as a solo agent, owned my own firm, have been around the industry for a very long time. At one point ran a 3,000 agent organization and got smart and joined Keller Williams, and then ultimately became a coach and an executive coach, which is my true passion. And then one other thing through all of that, I spent 14 years as a university professor. So my passion in life is really helping grow people and grow big businesses and create lots of success. And I'm now an executive coach with MAPS.
Well, we are definitely blessed to have you. And I'm glad you're here. I hear great things, and you're always drop a lot of wisdom on us during our group coaching calls. So Wally, I'm sure that you have coached both agents who have heard this objection and probably have dealt with it during your time as an agent. The seller who says, we'd love to hire you, however, you don't have a lot of experience either in this geographic area, this zip code, or this price point. How do you overcome that objection, or how do you coach agents to overcome that objection when it's just a lack of familiarity, although there's certainly a desire to take the listing?
Perfect. So there's really two approaches to this. The first approach is, first of all, and actually this is for both approaches, we want to find out why that's important to the person. So whenever somebody throws that kind of an objection at you, you go, hey, you know what, I really appreciate it. What's important to you about having somebody that specifically has done business in a zip code? And let them tell you. And usually it's not very deep. They just feel, I need a neighborhood expert.
Sure.
So once we've identified that, let's presume that. Say, well, let me ask you a question. You seem like a very experienced, very thoughtful seller. And clearly this is one of the key points to you. So I'm presuming that you've also been a buyer in the past. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. I bought several houses.
Fantastic. So in the houses you bought, how many of those did you buy directly through the listing agent?
None of them. We bought them all with a buyer's agent.
You bought them all with the buyer's agent. Did you even meet the listing agent?
No.
So you don't know who they are. So they really didn't even play into the role of having you make your choice.
Not at all.
So what was really more important to you was an agent that was going to get you the right home in the right neighborhood for the right price.
That's correct.
So let me ask you, do you want an agent who knows this neighborhood and has experience and yet may not be the best person to collect buyers for you? So do you need more sellers or do you need more buyers?
It's good.
So what I specialize in is my job is to find the buyers and connect with the agents that I know that work with the buyers that work your neighborhood. So I would love to be your agent and become your representative and tap you into that group of buyers. So shall we go ahead and sign a contract?
I love it. Tying it back into the need isn't someone familiar with more sellers. The need is familiar with more buyers, right? Where that local specificity. That's
Yes.
the word. Yeah, it doesn't matter quite as much, right? Excellent.
Yeah. So a lot of sellers are confused by the role of their agent. And therefore, I believe I need to know somebody that's a neighborhood expert so they can explain all that to the world. Well, the truth is that doesn't happen. The marketing process explains it to the world. The agent may be part of driving that. Okay, the second approach, and this is more the one for a newer agent that may not have just a bunch of experience.
Sure.
Oh, and this was something that was taught to me many, many years ago by a coach of mine when I first got into business. And he goes, so let's presume, and this is how you would say this to the client. So you'd say, so Marty, I know you're concerned about my lack of experience. So let's just address the elephant in the room. So let's presume that you were going to go have surgery. Let's presume that this was a really important surgery, like a heart surgery or neurosurgery, life-threatening. And you have your choice. You can hire a surgeon that's been at this, done many, many surgeries. They're toward the end of their career. They work in a good hospital, and they're just the really solid, experienced physician. Or your second choice is you could get a physician that's newer, maybe doesn't have the experience or the background, educated in the best schools, works with the best hospitals, with the absolute best equipment. Oh yeah, let me add one other thing. This new surgeon with the steady hands and all the latest information and the latest knowledge is being coached through the surgery by the experienced guy. Now, who do you want to have doing the surgery?
Yeah.
Consider me that young surgeon.
Yeah. Consider me surgeon number 2.
Yeah. So here's who I have behind me. So we
I
go
love
ahead.
that you brought in so many things just in that example, right? It's not only the education, but the facilities, if you will, right? The offices that we are surrounded by, and the talent that we are surrounded by, and the coaches and leaders that we are surrounded by as agents rely on all of those things. And yeah, the new surgeon / the new agent is most likely the most educated on what's happening in real estate right now. Right. I don't know about you, but I don't get excited to take my CE courses every year. Right. I do it because it's a requirement, not always because I want to stay as up to date as possible. That new agent is staying as up to date as possible because it's required. Right. I mean, it's 30 hours to renew a license in Texas. It's 180 to get one. So that new agent most likely has more recent training and education, sometimes even than the agent that's been doing this for a lot longer. I love that you brought that in there as well. Is anything change on price point? If they said, well, you don't do a lot of business in this price point, does that affect the handling at all?
No, it really doesn't. And again, what I find interesting is we're talking about a subject most people refer to as objection handling. And when you use the term objection handling, it almost sounds like you should have a snappy answer for whatever the objection is. If we change it to being objection curious, and we find out what's behind the objection. So what's important to you about having had somebody that's handled this kind of price point before? And whatever it is, they're going to tell you, and we just want to listen to that, and we want to acknowledge, and we want to lean into that. Okay, well, so again, so let me ask you, if you had your choice between this agent and that agent, if you had your choice between an agent and a firm that handled thousands of sales versus one that's done a few in your neighborhood, who would you rather have? Oh, so it's more than price point. It's more than marketing. It's more than being familiar with the neighborhood. We've got to get you from your desire to sell to being in the marketing process, to negotiating an offer, to closing the transaction. By hiring me, I work with specialists in every single one of those categories. My job is to orchestrate this team. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, did you know that there's between 60 and 70 human beings that are going to touch your transaction? Wow. So do you want somebody who's the best manager of that process to get you the best outcome, or just somebody who's specialized in maybe having had their name on homes in this price point? Which is more important to you?
Absolutely. I want an expert in all areas, or someone that has experts in all areas.
Someone that has access to experts in all areas.
Yeah.
So real estate, when I joined in the mid 80s, it was a very different game. And those things were probably more important than they are today. Today, your job as a real estate agent is to manage and direct a bunch of resources to get a positive outcome at the highest level for the client. So is it the agent that understands the price point the most? Is it the agent that knows how to negotiate the best? Is it the agent that knows how to get through the closing process? I could know the price point and have no clue on the closing, and I'm not going to be a good agent for you.
Yeah. Don't want to drop kick it at the end, right? As well. Yeah. That's no good in that sense. So those are all amazing points, right? Anything in closing that you would say for those agents that may be struggling to overcome that kind of a response?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, you didn't get on the appointment if you weren't one of the top 3 or 4 people that person felt was the right agent for you.
Fair.
For them. So you already walk in the door a winner. Don't screw it up.
Fair. Yeah.
So presume that you are that person that they want. Go in to qualify them. So I had a call this last week, and this is a client who has a main competitor that they're overcoming, and we've made a lot of progress. And they'd always say, oh, I'm competing against Marty tonight. And I've heard this so many times, and finally on a call, I go, stop. I said, isn't Marty competing with you now? And they went, oh my goodness. I said, go into every single appointment believing in your gut, in your soul, that the other agents are competing against you. It will change your mindset.
Love it. That's, I mean, just that flip of the way you look at things, right? We know that they change that way and they change in how they show up in our lives. What a great nugget. Wally, thank you. It's easy to see why you're such an amazing executive coach with MAPS and how the lives that you've touched continue to be blessed. So I appreciate you being a part of 66 Conversations. Guys, come back tomorrow for a new coach and a new conversation. Until then, we'll look forward to seeing you again real soon.